don't have time to go and get it.
Mm-mm. Let me try to get one.
10. Five. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another show of the Kimberly Cloud Show, where I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have two very special guests here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who both of you are and where you're calling from, however y'all want to say it?
Okay,
Sure.
well, I'll start. I'm Megan Foley Marra. I am coming in actually from Lake Arrowhead, California.
And I'm Chuck Marra, Megan's husband of 37 years. Also, coincidentally, coming from Lake Arrowhead,
Lake Arrowhead.
California. So, yeah.
Great. I am so happy to have both of y'all join my show today. I wanted to know about both of y'all past and how they intertwine leading up into what y'all do in the future and highlighting things y'all want to highlight. So tell me, starting with Megan, about your past leading up and how you found Chuck and then we'll talk to Chuck about how he, intertwined with you guys. Fate.
Okay. I got that. Well, I grew up in Texas and I came out to California to go to college. And one night, how I met Chuck, this is it. One night, one of my best girlfriends had a boyfriend who was leaving town, and he was playing his last night at some gig at a country western bar. And she's like, "Come on, let's go, let's go." And I'm from Texas, so I don't have any problem with the country western bar. I'm like, "Okay, cool." Well, I get in there and I see this guy across the room, and I'm like, "Ooh, he is cute. I hope he's with our party." And little did I know, yes, he was. And lucky for me, he was. And I always laugh and joke that it was a long-term relationship built on lies, because I'm in California and I'm a casting director, and I almost never tell people what I do. Now I do, but when I was younger, I didn't. And I used to tell people I was all sorts of different things. And when I met him, I told him I was a dental hygienist. And he's like, "Why a dental hygienist?" I mean, later, and I was like, "Well, because nobody really asks you a lot of questions about that, and especially in a social situation, somebody's not going to go, 'Oh, here, can you look at this?'" So it made it all very easy for me. And then I didn't feel like I was having to try to meet people because of what I did and not because of who I was. And that was, I kept it secret for a long time, what I did.
Not a great marketing.
It's not a great marketing strategy, right?
And so once you got intertwined with Chuck, like, what did y'all go off to do together for a long time, like 2-3 decades?
Well, some of it we can't talk about, but some of it we met. And actually what happened was he was working and I was working, and my work was bringing in more money at the time than his work was bringing in. So we decided that he could go and start working for us. And he didn't like it at all, very much.
I'll jump in now just to temper the story a little bit. I came to LA, and that's what happened. We went. My friend brought me to his best friend's going away party at this country western bar, and I did not like country western music at the time, and
didn't know anything about it, really. He was from New York, and he looks at me at one point and he goes, "There's guys wearing hats inside."
Like men wearing hats inside the building. I mean, totally foreign to me at the time in the 80s. So then we met and we hit it off right away. It was great. Our schedules, I got a job temping in a law firm when I first got here. And so my schedule was nighttime and her schedule was daytime. So I would never see her. And so I decided to, just leave that temp job and start working, running camera, because that was the only way I could get a chance to see this girl. And so, which is cool and stressful, because now I could mess up all I wanted at the law firm. Somebody would correct it and I'd be anonymous. You mess up on your girlfriend's career, that's really bad. And so the pressure was unbelievable. And I didn't like casting when I first met.
No.
It was as an actor, I was too close to it.
Yeah.
And I was working, but I was, I always had something, I had something to say about that performance at audition.
Yeah.
And it was just hard to watch. Eventually, I learned it and I got really good at it. And
Now he's
And then-
great at it. Now
he's
he's
just-
better than me.
Oh, I'm not better.
Something
than you.
we share good parts of it now. You know, he's really good on finding actors, working with actors, dealing with actors. I'm really good or better on the negotiating part of, you know, getting the actors yeah.
She
getting the
handles the
actors.
details and the minutia a lot better than I do.
Yeah, that's
Can
true.
I ask y'all a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay. When y'all find the actors, do the actors and actresses go to like a studio to be, you know, scanned for whether they fit the performance that you're looking for? And if they do, what do you look for in an actor or actress that would make them qualified or disqualified?
Okay, I can take that. We start with, well, these days we used to always do it in a studio. We had a studio for 20 years, and people came to the studio, and we had a camera operator and TV monitors and stuff, and we would film them and then send the films off to the directors and the producers. Well, since the pandemic, that's totally changed, and now almost everybody is self-taping at home. Meaning basically they're doing videotapes of themselves and then sending them in to us. The good news of that is that actors aren't having to drive all over LA and try to find stuff. The bad news of it is that we don't get to give them any direction. We don't get to give them, we're not on camera with them. So that would be one of the things that I would say when I was seeing people in person is how well do they listen? Do you know what I mean? If you can tell right away if somebody's paying attention or not paying attention, even if they're going, you know, you can tell right away that their mind is not listening to you. So
and also, there's fun of working with actors
Yes.
creatively, because somebody could be the right physical type and not understand the role, and somebody could be the wrong physical type, is that wrong? And yet be so inventive that you're like, oh, let's
if you have to hire this person, you know.
It's fun.
So that's what we look. We look a lot for people that are creative, that are listeners, that are not. I can't say not afraid, because almost everybody's afraid when they're auditioning. But I can say that they're not afraid of trying things, and that's different.
What movie roles, whether big or small, have you gotten people into that has helped that person grow or build their portfolio up?
Oh,
A
that's
lot.
good.
It's
We've
a
done a
lot.
lot. A lot of them are probably people that you don't know. You probably won't know their names, but you might recognize their face. I would say the biggest person that we ever found was Haley Joel Osment. Remember him from?
I heard.
Yeah, yeah. And we put him in his very first commercial. We discovered him at a
mall.
at an IKEA, actually, and he was great. He was great. He was too young for the job, but he still was so precocious that he just got it. And he was that was for. I can only think I see dead people, but that's not.
No, it wasn't for that. It was for, I think it was for pizza.
No. Oh, that was Pizza Hut. The
Yeah.
commercial
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah,
Pizza
yeah.
Hut.
No, then he went on to do Sixth Sense.
Yeah, and get nominated for an Oscar.
The
Which was
young toddler, the young,
yeah.
Oh my God! I knew I remembered that name.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And then because of that, his sister then became an actress as well. His father, who's was their manager, was very, very very grateful to us, and would comment mention all the time that, oh yeah, well, they've discovered him, they found him, and
yeah.
really we just saw him at the mall. He was
And
adorable.
and we interviewed him and stuff. The thing about it is, and I think the greatest thing about casting, we worked a lot in commercials in the 90s, and you got a chance to give actors an income that kept them out of a day job.
Yes.
That kept them able to pursue and live and go after bigger roles and go after things and
do bigger things. Like there's an actor named Glenn Vettito. You would never know him, but you might recognize his face and say, "Oh, I've seen him in something." And like years ago, I remember this. I still have it. He gave me a Tiffany pin, and he said, "Thank you, because of the work you've given me in the last 2 years. I was able to send my sister to college and pay off my parents' farm." I was like, "Well, I don't really need anything more than that." That was such a great feeling to know that that's because of work that we gave them, they were able to go and do that kind of thing.
And we'd see them, like we'd do so many auditions during the course of a month you would see the same actors for different roles 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, good, you're here for this. Okay, let's do that.
So they become our friends,
Yeah,
really,
you get
because
so
you know
close
you'd
to them.
see them so much.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question? Okay. So
Please.
once you get the role for like once you put in whether virtually or in person your criteria, like you act something and you may in person direct them or virtually probably tell them to send in another video, do you send that footage to like Warner Brothers or Paramount? How does that work?
Per job thing.
Yeah. So it is per job, and it's like a client will hire us. Like we're on a job right now that's working out of Madison, Wisconsin, and they hire us. So everything that we do is actually they own it. You know, so we make, you know, we do all the tapes and everything for them, but it's their property. So we don't do it for the big studios like that. And even if it was a big studio, they would, like Chuck said, hire us per job, not per, oh, we're doing an overall casting. Every
Right.
now and then there'll be these what they call open calls when anybody can come, you know. And those are great fun. I love to do those. But that's we don't do those very often. We don't
Yeah.
get to do those very often.
And those would just be for a meet and greet and finding out people, because when you've got a movie or a commercial, there are roles to be filled and a crunch of time. So
Yeah.
you have to see people that not just fit the role but bring something to the role.
Right. And that are specific. You know, if
Mhm.
McDonald's has a Caucasian family and African American family, then I got to get people just for those roles.
Yeah. And when you see these, do you see directors and producers that works with these companies? That's what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Generally, it's directors that hire us. That's usually the people that will hire us, the people that have worked with us, that have been that are directors that are working on something now, and that's who hires us.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing, man. That takes you know, friendship. That takes, you know, people that get along, because it's hard to get along with everybody, but to get along with the directors and the producers, that is amazing. That is amazing right there. And tell me, like, how many people per movie do you actually interview and send? How many people do you cut and send the footage? Like, if there's 50 people, let's just give an example.
Yeah.
Cut like 40 and send 10 of the people footage to the directors and producers. How does that work?
Well, it's different commercially than it is theatrically. The theatrical being movies and television. We whittle it down a lot more in movies and television, but you still never know who the director is gonna. Oh, I wouldn't think of that.
Yeah.
So we try to keep it broad. We try to keep it specific so they don't get overwhelmed. But in commercials, you send everybody, unless somebody is so horrible or offensive or just like it looks like I fell asleep. You know, I didn't screen this. So you send everybody because you have a director and a producer. You have an ad agency, creative, and writers.
Then a whole team.
And then you have the actual client. These people have got to get on the same page.
Yeah. So we have to send a lot to them. But like on this movie that we're working on right now, there's between 90 and 100 characters that are having to be cast. And so for each one, we may get 300 to 500 photos per role. So that's a lot. And so we narrow it down for the directors. I'll usually send him like the 4 or 5 top ones that I think that are good, and we sometimes agree and we sometimes don't agree. And then I have to, send him more people. And I don't always agree with the choices, but I try to kind of, veer them in the direction that I think is going to work best for the film.
What open roles do you have now for those Californians that want to do virtually or visit your studio traditionally?
The commercial stuff is just stuff that goes out on. We have what they're called breakdown services. There's a breakdown service. There's something called Casting Networks, and there's something called Casting Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have a commercial, I'll put all my information for that job out on that format, and then actors generally go to that. If they're not acting already, if they're not like on those formats, it's a little bit harder to find us. But there are ways of doing it, certainly. And we do classes, we go places and teach people, we go, and try to meet as many people as we can, because that's my job, is try to meet as many people as I can, and then try to keep a Rolodex in my head, which is now very full, of people that I've met, and that I could use for things. I wish I could say, oh, I've got something right now that I've got this many people for, but I don't have anything in California. I've only got the stuff in Wisconsin right now. But if you happen to have a whole bunch of people that look like senators that live in Wisconsin, they should call me.
Let us know. Yeah. It isn't a lottery. A lot of people think, oh, I want to just get in front, and I've got the it factor and the rest of that stuff. And that's great for reality television. But for the actual business, it's much more like the Olympics or the nationals in athletics. You have to play the game from the get-go. I would like to go up to the New York Giants and say, listen, hey, I think I can throw the ball. I'd be a quarterback. And they go, you are our quarterback. And that's just not how that works. You have to play high school ball, professional, semi-professional ball, college ball. You have to really work your way up and prove you can do it. And that's the same as an actor. The actor and the athletes are very,
Some actors get
those are the rare exceptions.
Really early on in their career, and that's very rare.
I remember some guy just walked out and to the Philadelphia Eagles and went to tryouts and became huge. That does not often happen.
No.
So,
it's harder to find them, and not everybody has to be perfect, but there's training everywhere, to learn. If it's something that people really want to do, then they should get training for it, just like any other career.
Mm-hmm.
What is the syllabus be about the training? What weeks, like week 1, week 2, week 3, however many weeks, what does it entail?
It's a lifetime.
It's it's not just a weekly thing, like 6 weeks, we can teach stuff in 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
But generally, the people that are with us have been with us. Right now, we've got a group that's been with us about 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just constantly teaching them, learning, pushing them, trying them. And part of our mentorship is part of that too. That's where we get in and we're like, okay, you got to try this. Have you contacted these people? Have you done this? That kind of stuff. But that's how we made all these movies that we made. Is we made them with these actors that are in our group.
Yeah, we trained them all, and then
we trained them.
We made movies with them.
Yeah,
and then they sent them out to awards. But an actor has to train his mind so he can remember lines, not memorize them, but learn them.
Yeah,
how the thing goes. He has to know dramatic structure, and that takes a long time. An actor has to know his body and has to know his emotional life, and he has to be able to listen and relax, and all these things take a lot of training, because we as human beings don't do this normally. We're taught to shut everything down so we are in polite company. And an actor has to be vulnerable and open, and that's not something that comes natural. People think, oh, I can cry on cue. I don't care. I don't care whether you can cry. That's not acting. That's crying.
Not acting. That's crying. Yeah. And it's been interesting because, in the last few years, there's been this big uptake on hiring influencers for TV shows or for commercials or for movies. And a lot of them just don't have the training. They just don't have the background training that they needed to sustain it for any real period of time. They can be influencers, and they're great influencers, and I'm not taking that away from them. They may even make more money than they would as an actor, but they're not. It's just two different things, and people think one is the same as the other, and it's really not.
The best way to put it is, as an actor, you have to be trained to make the absolutely boring fascinating.
Yeah, that's one good way of putting it.
Have you ever been on set, like with the young adult that played the role, the best role, I See Dead People? Have you ever been on set while he was actually performing, or with anybody that actually was there to do the job?
Yes, not necessarily younger kids, although we did do some younger kids. I worked with Eldon Hansen when he was a kid. Now he's an adult, and he's got a Marvel TV show, or had one a couple of years ago. And I loved to watch him work, because it was a young mind, and it was thinking, it was working, it was concentrating, it was listening, it was absorbing everything that was happening around him. Ray Liotta also. Worked
with Ray. Yeah, where he was wonderful to watch, and Johnny was wonderful. Johnny Depp was wonderful to watch. I did a show called Fudge. We cast it, and I was a regular on it. and worked with a whole bunch of young people.
Yeah.
They were just wonderful to watch work, learn. And you would see them because they were
Grow,
young.
and
They were pre-teens, and they would say something and it wouldn't work for them. And you'd watch this mind figure out how to make it better.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
What is the hardest thing that an actor or actress has to do in the acting realm? Like, is it remember the lines, or not remember, like you said, learn the lines, or how is it? Like,
It's
kind of different for everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I find, and that's kind of what this, we told you that we had written this book, and that's what a lot of this is about, is it getting out of your own way. We actors tend to, I was an actor growing up, so and I still work with actors all the time, so I still consider myself in that, but you won't get me on camera. Not for acting at any rate. And they get in their own way. They shoot themselves in the foot every time. You know, I mean, sometimes people will, I can't tell you how many times we've had people that the audition and their favorite person, they were the favorite from the get-go. Everybody wanted them. Everybody knew that they wanted them, and they did something right at the very end. Yeah. That the director would go, oh, I can't put up with that. I can't put up with that all day. And it's like, oh, wow, holy cow. So one of the reasons that we started teaching is because we see all these things that actors do to screw themselves up, you know, and we just this weekend got a couple more chapters for our book. It's in this last job that we've been working on. It's really crazy of what's been going on.
Acting is a craft. I could teach you all the notes on the piano in a half an hour or 15 minutes. Doesn't mean you can play. Even though you might know the chords of a song, even though you get all the notes right, it doesn't make you worth listening to, let alone spending money on your music. You have to learn how to put yourself in a text, in a role that makes it interesting to watch. And that's just a skill you learn. There's a great story about Spencer Tracy, an actor in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
Who a lot of people don't know who he is.
Yeah, but it's worth a treat going to watch all the Spencer Tracy movies. He was a studio actor. Somebody said, a sound man said to him in Inherit the Wind, I'm sorry, I need another take. And Tracy turned around to him and looked. He says, I've worked my whole career to say a line like that, and you didn't get it. And that's really sums it up, is that you do it in the beginning and you're okay, or you suck, or you're pretty good. And then either your ego gets in the way and you continue to grow, or suck, or be just pretty good.
That's true. Yeah. You know, like for instance, with me, I have the Kimberly Cloud show. When I first started out, it was not as easy as it is now. So I get what you guys are saying. It takes work. You can't just get a podcast and think you're going to be the best at it. No. It takes work.
Yeah, you had to learn a lot, and you had to put in a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tell me, you know, have y'all ever, because I wanted to piggyback off of what y'all said earlier about how the director said we can't work with them like over and over because they're getting in their own way. Have you ever had to recast somebody based on? Tell me about that.
Well, I may have to do it today. I guess I can't talk too much about that right now.
No, well, that's kind of confidential, but we can say that there were actors who showed up to the set completely drunk.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. We've had to cast actors who just didn't bother knowing their lines at all.
Or didn't show up.
Show up.
He took me to Vegas for my birthday a couple of years ago, and on the ride there, we go, the actress hasn't shown up. And she just like decided that morning that she didn't want to do it. And I'm like, what? I've got very little of my tools handy, you know, to recast it, but we did it. I just called a friend and said, can you get there? And that's how it works, you know, sometimes, unfortunately. But yes, we have unfortunately had to recast people. And it's not fun. It's not even like it's a good story so much as it's just not fun, you know, like, and usually oftentimes we're the ones dealing with the situation and dealing with trying to tell the person, well, you would have still had this role if you hadn't gotten drunk on the airplane to location.
Yeah.
And
even
go ahead after you.
There's one story that worked out really well for me, but not so much. I was on a set, and a director I knew came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're here!" And I said, "Yeah, what? What do you need?" And he said, "Well, the actor we cast in this role can't do it." And we're pushing him, and after lunch, I want you to step in. I'm like, okay. And I saw him leave. So they just checked him out, and they did it in the most friendly way possible. They said, "Oh, you're great. And we got what we need. Sign the paper." And they escorted him out. And as he's going off the set, and it was a big set in Hollywood, they come on in. And I walked in, and I'm like, I felt weird. And it wasn't that hard a part, but it was just, I didn't think it was hard. But anyway, the point is,
that's also the job that you made the most money on. I think.
Yeah, you made a lot of money on
ever.
And there's a commercial, and that's how a lot of times it's done. It's that nobody wants a fight on the set. Nobody wants to scream
or tell you, "Oh, you're messing up."
No, they'll just
quietly replace you.
Mm-hmm. That's really how it's kind of done
most of the time.
I'm sure there are screaming fits, but I've never.
I'm sure there are.
It doesn't help anybody for a screaming director.
No.
Wow.
We try to steer clear of that. Actually, screaming directors.
How does it work when do they come back to you after they finish the commercial or movie? Do they continue to rotate back to you? And then we're going to talk about highlighting what you need to highlight.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I would say yes. We've had some of the clients I've had for 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. The same client, he just uses me over and over and over again. I think the one that we're working with right now will probably be one of those as well. It's just, and sometimes they don't. And you go, well, the job was great. What happened? And you don't ever have any idea what happened. They just don't come back to you. So that's hard.
A casting director is literally, figuratively,
gun for hire.
A gun for hire. We're the director's eyes and ears. So we have to have the same tastes or learn the tastes of the director as if he was watching all these takes. Yeah. So, oh, you're going to like this. Oh, you're not going to like this. And
the great Will Roberts from Oppenheimer was the 5-star general. He told me, I interviewed him, and he said that you're not going to get every part. You're not going to get every part, but just keep trying and get your name out there, and then people will start taking notice. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that is absolutely true. And he is a perfect example of that. We've known Will for years, and all of a sudden, he was kind of he was the gun toter, and he was the guy that could sling guns and do that. All of a sudden he was in Oppenheimer, and we're like, what the heck? There he is. And like I said, we've known him for years. Actually, we just tried to put him in this movie that we're doing right now. And he's absolutely true. You're not going to get everything, and you're not going to get, like, Michael Jordan said, he's lost more,
missed more shots than he took. There's a long quote about that.
Yeah. I don't misquote it a little.
What can a person gain from using your company, Foley Marra Studios, than any other company in LA or California?
Us, I think.
Us.
I love it.
We're two heads, and we have different points of view and the same taste. So we love the work. We work together. We're pretty tireless about it.
And we direct very differently when we're working together. When we're working in a casting session, and we've got directors, Chuck will direct one way, and then I'll come in and I go, and just do it like this. Just do it like this. So we have two different ways of coming at stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the best benefits for us. And then we teach. So we're always, got our hands in, like, with other actors and finding out what they're doing and how they're doing. We're very big actor advocates. And then, but as casting people, it is us. You get, instead of getting one casting director, you get two, and you've got both of us on the job pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not,
And we always encourage directors, to cast the actor, not the look. So we'll put their actor, in most cases, through their paces to see what their range is, because directors and producers tend to really want to go toward a type, and then they're on the set. They go, "It's not working," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know," because you
don't have
a
the actor.
type,
Yeah,
not an actor.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of what I'm facing of right now, somewhat.
Tell me about that.
Can't mention too much about it because
too much, but I'll say that
it's
there's a type that he's looking for, and I understand that he's looking for the type,
Well
but there's not that many people that are going to look like that type, and when you want 6 or 7 of them, it gets even harder.
Well, so, in Oppenheimer, a perfect example is Robert Downey Jr. playing the senator. Robert Downey Jr. does not look like the senator, but in nature.
Yeah, naturally.
So you cast that amazing actor, and then you do whatever you can to make him look like a
become a
1960s man.
Yeah.
And because it's Hollywood, we can do it. A good makeup artist can make anybody look like anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't, again, your job as an actor, and the easiest way to sum it up is to make the mundane look fascinating.
Right.
So I can't tear myself away. You say in commercials all the time, your job is simple, to keep me from going to the fridge on the break. If I can tear myself away, you're not doing your job. If it doesn't matter, if I can't, but because there are some actors you just absolutely have to watch do the same thing, even they're doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I gotta watch you.
Robert Downey Jr.
is one of those people. I mean, that's what makes them stars, because they've studied how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
part of our job is to create enthusiasm. It's to create enthusiasm if we're teaching, it's in the actor and in what they're doing and trying to build their career.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the producers, it's to create enthusiasm on the people that we're bringing and saying, really look at this person again and say, tell me exactly what it is you don't like about them, because I think they're fabulous, and so that's part of what we do too. As I've gotten older as a casting director, I push back a lot more. When I used to, when I was starting out as a casting director, like, whatever you say. And now I'm like, no, I think you're really missing it if you don't look at this again, and I think that's part of my job.
Well said, by the way. Are you statewide where somebody from New York can actually try to put in a segment for y'all to watch to see if they are able? Now, if they get the job, how do they get to LA to perform that job, or wherever the set may be?
Generally, the production company will pay for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like this job that we're doing, it's in Madison, Wisconsin, and they're bringing in a lot of people from Chicago, which is not an air flight, but it's travel. So they're paying their mileage. If they have to spend the night, they're paying their accommodations. They're doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's really on their shoulders to do that.
Well said. And tell me a little bit, tell me as much as you can about your condition that you suffered or suffer from. Right?
Okay. Yes, I can. I was diagnosed as MS in 2009, and we've been fighting that for years on whether that's really what it is or what's not. But during the pandemic, I fell down my staircase here at the house, and I shattered my knee and my shoulder and a bunch of stuff, and my right side basically. And so I've been having to relearn how to walk, which you don't think, oh, it's just a broken knee, but for me, that's not what it is, because of whatever they call it now, demyelinating disease instead of MS. That's what at least my doctor calls it. And he says that's what is having to learn how to walk again, basically. And I am off balance a lot. So it's very uncomfortable for me, because I was a person that ran across the room and I always sat on the floor, and I prepped my jobs on the floor at my office,
Mm-hmm.
And now I can barely get on the floor. I can only get on the floor if I have help, and then definitely have to have help getting up, And so it's just been a whole 4 years of kind of transitioning that was totally unexpected. I mean, when we were in the pandemic, I was starting that kind of transition, but it happened in September of that year. And I was in the hospital for 8 weeks. I couldn't see Chuck. I couldn't see anybody. Nobody could come.
It was horrible.
Nobody could visit. I had 3 surgeries. I mean, just one thing after another. And, it was just one of those things where I think I'm one of those people that I tend to always look at the positive. This always happens for a reason. And for me, clearly the reason was for me to slow down, to quit doing so darn much. And so I have slowed down. Now I'm anxious to get going again. But it's been a really big learning experience about learning. I've learned a lot about who I am and about what's important to me and what's not as important to me. Chuck will sometimes get all stressed out about something, and I'm like, why are you worrying about that? There's nothing we can do about that right now. And I wasn't that way before this. So I've definitely learned a lot from it. And, you're frustrated because nobody knows how to fix it. And I was just at the doctor the other day, and he goes, well, it's probably going to be like this. This is probably what it's going to be like the rest of your life. And I was like, no, I can't be like this the rest of my life. So it's just hard. But I'm getting through it, and I'm doing it. And now at first I was really embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know. A lot of people put all their injuries and stuff all over Facebook. I was like, shut it down, and I didn't want to share it. And now I feel like, what? It's okay to share that. It's okay that it's not, I didn't do anything wrong. I just fell. And now you don't know how quickly things can change in your life until something like that happens.
I will also say that she made a goal. Our youngest son, got married
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And she said, and it was hard for her to walk around and balance. And she said, no, I'm going to dance at his wedding, and worked at it. And sure enough, she danced at the wedding.
I didn't really dance. I did a lot of swaying, but I twirled twice. And that was
you absolutely twirled.
I twirled twice, so that was good.
Can you tell me something? Can you tell me the name of the condition? You said MS, and you said another.
MS, and then they changed it. Well, there's a couple of things, but MS is one, and then Sjogren's syndrome is one, which is what Venus Williams I have. I think it's Venus. And then the other one is this demyelinating disease, which basically means that the myelin sheath that protects your nerves comes off. It disappears, so that your nerves are more exposed. So that's kind of where I am right now. Like I have since 2009 had this, I feel like I'm being electrocuted in my legs from the waist down, and it's been that way forever. But the walking wasn't as bad until I fell, and then now it's gotten really bad. So I'm like a cane and stuff like that,
Have you went to awareness about this to bring more, to shed to light about these illnesses or diseases? Have you been to organizations that deal with foundations and stuff of that nature?
Yes, I have.
What
and I would like to do more. I'm sorry?
What do y'all do there? Go ahead.
A lot of people talk about things. People find things that work for them. We have a woman that's a local woman up here that found a diet, changing her diet really, really helped. And so I went to her diet doctor. It wasn't a losing weight diet. It was just changing your diet. And it was so restrictive. I thought, I'm not going to be able to live like this. Not to ever have an onion or garlic or potato or tomato or, I just can't. I'm not going to be able to live like that. If it was sugars, that's a lot easier to cut out than like tomatoes and garlic and onions. Well, it's not that easy to shut. I still like my sugars, but so anyhow, yeah. That's what they do. And everybody talks about, oh, try this or oh, try that. So because of it, I've tried a million things. I've done acupuncture. I've done trauma therapy. I've done regular physical therapy. I've done, I don't know, every medication that's, under the sun. And I've tried it all. And it just, for me, none of it has worked yet, but something will work sometime. I'm just not sure when.
Are they coming out with new drugs?
They are. They've actually, when I first got it, they didn't have anything. Yes, they've got new drugs. They have got some stuff that's not fit for me right now, but I did start like an infusion treatments about a year and a half ago. I do them every 6 months, and it's like, it's like chemo, but it's not. I don't lose my hair, thank God. But it's just an infusion in my arm, and I just go and do that, and it's supposed to be making me better. I don't know that it's making me any better, but they also say it's not making me worse, which is I'll take that too. Better would be better, but
for those people that are going through exactly what you're going through, that's out there watching right now, can you tell your audience right now that is watching how you cope and what keeps you going every day? And then we're going to move on to the book.
Sure. What makes me my family keeps me going every day. There are days that I don't want to get out of bed. There's the days that I don't want to do anything. And some days I let that be. I've learned to say that's not a terrible thing. If today's a stay in bed day, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But coping is really, for me, has been kind of, I hate to say accepting it, because I don't really want to fully accept it and fully embrace it. But at the same time, I have to accept my limitations. That's what the difference is. And I'm learning to say, you know what, when my body says you need to stop, then I need to stop. And I didn't used to do that. So that's been a really big thing. And it's just learning. Those are kind of the coping skills that I do best. I think meditation works sometimes, but not a lot else really has helped me yet.
Have you tried, I know this is the weirdest thing to say, but have you tried like laughing or different frequencies out there? Like they have different frequencies. I don't know. It may not help like extremely, but just a little bit to get you by.
Yes, I have done a little bit of that, but I would like to look into that a little bit more. I laugh a lot anyhow, pretty much, don't you think?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, every picture from my son's wedding, I'm laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, there's not one good picture of me just smiling. So I'm laughing and carrying on. But it was, yes, I think there's so many options out there, really, and that's really kind of what we are not afraid of exploring options. Chuck and I have not been at all. As a matter of fact, he was up the other night for like 4 hours in the middle of the night studying neuropathies and how to fix them and how to change them and what causes them. And but he does that probably 2 or 3 nights a month.
Yeah. Because you all of a sudden you get a different way to word it, and you start to follow other rabbit holes down.
Yeah, we got a lot of rabbit holes around here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I wish I had a good clue. I wish I had a good thing to be able to say to somebody, oh, try this, because I know this helps. But I haven't really found that yet. Mm-hmm. So I keep looking, and if anybody has anything that they want to email to me, well, they can do that too, because I'm willing to try just about anything.
Well said. And I'm sorry that you're going through this. This is a powerful moment for you and your husband, and I know with your strength you're going to get over it. Or
Thank you.
And let's say push come to shove, or something not bad happen, but you have to live with it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a daily routine, and you're going to get that pain isn't going to mean nothing after a while, for you. So
your mouth to God's lips. From your mouth to God's ears. You can kiss God too if you want, but
so I wanted to know about your book now and whatever else you want to highlight.
It is his.
This is fun.
Baby.
Yeah, it's called How to Trash Your Career. And it's I think it's funny. I laugh. And it's just meant to, actors do the same thing over and over again after 35 years of casting, do the same thing over and over again to mess up a perfectly good career. And so we put it out into like 20 chapters and 120 pages and laughed a lot. And it's not meant to poke fun at anybody. I've done most of these things myself. I'm like, oh my God, I did that. And when I stopped doing it, things improved. But it's just, there's little things.
It's just funny. We'll give you
I'll give you some examples.
With some funny little snippets that happen in life and there, a lot of things are the common sense. You would think, oh, of course, common sense, you wouldn't do that. But when you're under the pressure and you're in an audition and you think, you can't read the script that well because you don't have your glasses. And I say, well, wear your glasses. And I go, but I don't want them to see me with glasses. I'm like, but wear your glasses. You need them to read and see,
People will
blow auditions because of that. And it just is like, in a common sense daily routine, they wouldn't do that. But under the pressure of an audition, they will.
Yeah. What's another thing that they do?
What's another one?
Yeah.
Big things you do. I'll tell you, there's two, the chapter 1 and chapter 2. One is people tend to I don't even know how the word I could say on television here, but they tend to dump all over their career.
Yeah.
They minimize it. They just, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's oh, it's just a commercial. Oh, it's just a one line. It's, oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And people do this all the time. And
Oh, it's
eventually,
children's programming and it's not daytime programming. It's daytime programming and it's not primetime programming. You
Yeah.
know, they just play it down instead of owning it.
And since you are the person who has got to have the spark to get up every morning and start a new endeavor, the more you reassure yourself that what you just did didn't matter, will eventually make you stop trying and make you audition badly and make you not reach for the stars. Conversely, in chapter 2, I got to tell you that our son is an illustrator, and
he did all the pictures.
And he did all the pictures in it. I mean, that's the dump all over your everything.
Whoa.
Then chapter 2 is this. This is one of my favorite things because I lived through.
Do you want us to send you one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll send you a copy of it.
Yes.
There's this, which is vaunting, and actors do this all the time. And see the poor little guy.
What's a vaunting? I
didn't know the term either.
No, it's so when you make the littlest thing into the most amazing thing ever. And I'm sorry, getting a little crazy here. But if you blow up everything is the greatest thing ever. I work with you got one line on a movie and you should celebrate that. But it doesn't need to turn into, oh, Spielberg loves my work.
Right.
Because when you hit your head hits the pillow, you're gonna know. No, he doesn't. He may like your work, but you didn't talk to him really, and it's a lie. When you're lying to make yourself feel momentarily better in the eyes of the people you're with, and it's a lie, it makes it all the harder to get up in the morning and try again because you know it, and you're waiting for somebody to find it out. And those are two ways out of And one of the other ways, we have a whole chapter in here on just just the industry standard to get bitter about your career. I've been in it forever. Bitter. And that's a great way to trash your career.
Yes.
I've seen it all.
I've seen it all. I've been there.
And it's a magnificent fast track to trashing your career.
We got 7 minutes. What can people learn? Well, before I ask that question, I would like to know where y'all going in under 2 minutes for the future of y'all company.
More movies.
More movies. We've done we've put out almost 20 shorts. We've made like 40, but we've put out 20 in festivals. And now we are launching 2 horror suspense features.
And we have a feature.
And we have a
documentary coming out that's very close to my heart. So we're excited about that one a lot. And just trying to push it to get it out soon. And then we've got like 3 other films that we need to finish in post-production and stuff, just making all the sound and all that good stuff work right.
We've done a ton. You can see us at the Foley Marra Studios. So you can see all the work we did.
Yeah.
We've done a ton of radio plays during the pandemic, a lot of short films, and now we're just working on getting features.
Trying to do features.
Who is the actress and actors that we can look out for the future of Hollywood that you think is amazing people right now?
Well, I'll tell you right now, there's a little girl in this movie that we're casting, and her name is Euryce McNeil. And she looks really young, but she's in her early 20s, I think. And she is fabulous. I mean, I have seen her just go, go, go. There's another gal, Rosie McDonald, who is terrific. And she splits her time between here and New York, and she's really good. And I just can't wait for her, because as soon as she hits one thing, that's all it's going to take for her. She's just going to go crazy. Yeah. Older people.
You could take a look for the actors in our movies. Ty Gadishak, Margot Miro,
Kat Hammonds.
They're just magnificent chameleon type actors who just take on a role and run with it.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to let y'all go, but how can the people reach y'all? Thank y'all for joining my show, by the way.
We were so happy to do it. If you ever need us again, we've got plenty of other stuff to talk about.
How can the people reach
People can reach us by we have a contact page on our website, which is thefoleymarrastudios.com. We had to add the because somebody stole our Foley Marra.
And you can definitely reach out. You can email. Oh, I take most of those emails. It's chuck@thefoleymarrastudios.com.
Right. And we do also, I mean, we got all sorts of stuff going. I've got a whole different company that makes lampshades. That's a cool thing. It's really fun to talk about that.
We're doing a line learning lab later summer
Classes,
so that people can learn how to learn lines
as opposed to memorizing. Yeah. And this little puppy, she's available on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon.
Thank you both so much. Stay on the line. Thank you all for joining my show today. You take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you. And thank you, KCAA, for making it possible to be affiliated with NBC. Thank you all.
Thank you.